Good evening, this is vk3sl and welcome to the Friday evening missions sessione, and we're here to not entertain you but rather complete some propagation and tone tests on 160 and on UHF. That's the name of the game, and also there is a streaming service online, so if you go to my YouTube site, it's the site dedicated to these missions under my call sign as a YouTube channel. All will be revealed. You can go and find out and not listen to a vast array of nonchalant material that sort of sits there for perpetuity. There's also a secondary stream of people really that inclined, and that can be found via a blog page also dedicated to these missions. That's vk3sl.blogspot.com. Phew, I've got that all off my chest. Disclaimers abound. Anyhow, we are just meandering along as we always do here. I just go and switch things on and then close my eyes and pull records off the shelf, and I don't know, something happens. It's just a way to do stuff, something to do, a late evening activity. So a little bit later on, we'll invite Frank into the fold. Once we've sort of settled into the chair here, around about midnight, we'll dial in Zoomomatic and we'll have Frank, and we've got some interesting stuff actually. There's some recordings tonight which we'll tease out and learn a few things from. It's stuff that I've only just sort of mildly sampled, so it'll be a learning experience for me as well. All right, as per usual, we will start off with something from the 20s. That random record that flew out at me happens to be a Coles Electron record from about 1926. And it is Paul Kliko and his Eskimos. Yes, the Kliko Club Eskimos. I don't know if it's a Harry Reza outfit or not, but it's such a great name for a band, and a great name for a band at this, or great title for this time of night. Let's have a listen to Side by Side.
And funny, but we'll travel along, singing a song side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow, maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the road, sharing our load, side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they've all had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just traveling along, singing a song side by side.
That condensed carbon mic sound. Paul Kliko and his Eskimos on a Coles Electron record. I like the way they used these futuristic terms on record labels in the 20s. Testing here on 160 and on VHF tonight. That's on 147.475. We haven't quite made the move to UHF for the evening missions yet, but we probably will get there eventually. All right, well, another sort of situation that's emerged in the last little while has been this, the access to a stash of World Program Service transcription records. These 16-inch vinyl pressings were produced for 2GB, I think, by AWA. I think that's the story. All manner of program material, all from overseas sources, but some of it's very non-tailing. So I think we'll refer to one of these. And this record's The Three Sons. I really have no idea who the Three Sons are. In fact, it's all a bit spurious. These titles, or the names of the groups, at least, usually, I think, are pseudonyms on many of these records, so it warrants some investigation. But we'll go with it, nevertheless, and enjoy it for what it is. In the name of serendipity, let's continue. The question is, was it the Mellotron or the Novacord, or maybe even the Hammond organ? I think the latter. The Three Sons, it says on the label. And I haven't been bothered to research who it is because it doesn't really matter. We'll turn the record over and see if we can find something on the other side. Side B is... this is disc 116 from the stash. A lot of them here. And this one's Eddie Howard and his orchestra. Now, that name doesn't ring a bell. Could be a real band, but it also could be a pseudonym. Coquette, Bright Instrumental Dixieland, it says. I reckon that's worth a burl. So, we'll place it on the thing. We've got the ELAC card on the buyer turntable. We try and do things in an authentic fashion here. That's sort of a part of the intrigue. For me, at least. It sort of has a degree of authenticity, and I'm cleaning the record as I speak, and shortly we'll cue this up. They're locked grooves, and it's an outside start, and let's have a listen to Mr. Howard and the band. go. Trad Revival from the 1950s, says Eddie Howard. And I'm not really into Trad Revival. I like the original Trad stuff, but that sort of sounded fairly smooth. So, worth a play. Just sampling these. There's so many of them here, and I'm sort of wondering what's worth putting up on YT. I'm going to make an assessment, and possibly, I don't know if these records are in the public domain. They probably are. There's also a set of TikTok tales. These are John Craig Productions, I think. Is that right? Let me have a look. Yes, they are. John Craig Productions from Sydney. Again, made by AWA in the 1950s. And they're little vignettes, little storiettes. And they last for about 5 minutes apiece. So I reckon we'll cue one up and continue with this. And just a word that later on we'll be having our usual session with Frank. He'll chime in around about midnight. And slowly getting sorted here. And I reckon if I can just do a needle drop with, I think I've got it in the right place. I should know by now. vk3sl. Testing.
Tick, tock, tails. Hear that clock ticking? 4 minutes is not long, but it will give me plenty of time to tell you of Benny Andrews' shock tactics. Benny Andrews was a thief. His wife didn't admire him for it, but that was only because he wasn't a particularly successful one.
When I married you, Benny, I thought you were a really clever crook. You're nothing but a flop.
Oh, do stop nagging, Anna. Can't you see I'm trying to plan a big job?
You're always planning, but you never do anything. You're just a small-time sneak thief without the guts to tackle anything worthwhile. I should have married Big Joe or Pansy-Faced Pearlie.
Yeah? Well, just you wait until I do this job I'm working on now. It'll make us more dough in one night than those two have ever seen in all their lives.
Ah, now you're talking. When do you expect to pull this off? This master stroke?
Oh, that's the trouble. I don't know.
So, you were just talking.
No, I wasn't. Now, look, Anna. I got the whole thing lined up. You know old Abe Millicent's pawn shop? Well, besides his normal business, he's the receiver or fence for all the big boys around town. And I happen to know that he's got over 60,000 quid's worth of jewellery in his safe.
How do you know that?
It's my business to know these things. Now, don't you see, if I were to rob him, he couldn't squeal, because all that jewellery's stolen property.
That makes sense. Maybe I've misjudged you.
Yeah, the snag is to get old Abe to leave his shop. You see, he sleeps in the same room with the safe, and he hasn't left his shop at night for over 20 years. If there were only some way to get him away from that shop, just for one night.
Benny found a way a few days later. It came to him in a flash, and it was old Abe himself who gave him the idea.
Ah, morning, Abe. Just brought in a couple of trinkets for you to value. Yeah, what's the matter? You look the most miserable corpse in the morgue.
Oh, don't talk of morgue, sir. I've just had bad news of my brother Isaac. He's my only brother and lives in the country. And this morning I have a letter from Rachel, his wife.
He's dead?
No, but he's dying. It's his heart and he's much worse. I'd go to him and he may live for weeks or he may die tonight. If he were to live for weeks, I couldn't leave my business for so long, but I'm very fond of my brother. It's very worrying.
Yeah, this place of his in the country, is it far away?
Only 140, 150 miles. Mulgrave, you heard of it?
Oh, I know it well. About 150 miles, I should say. Oh, I'm sorry there's nothing I can do.
Benny wasted no time getting home to his wife. How proud she would be of him when she heard his brilliant idea.
Hannah, I've got it. I found a way to get old Abe away from his shop. Now, look, I want you to make a trip to Mulgrave and send this telegram.
What's this?
Yeah.
Isaac died this morning. Come at once, Rachel.
That's right. Isaac is his brother and he's dying. Old Abe told me so himself. But he won't leave his shop for fear Isaac might linger a few days. But he'd have to leave the shop too long, you see. He'd leave it for one night, though, to attend to his brother's funeral, and that's all the time I need.
Now you're being smart at last. If I leave now, I can be in Mulgrave by late this afternoon, send the wire, Abe gets it tomorrow morning, and you do the job tomorrow night.
That's me, girl. I'll dress you in diamonds and mink yet.
Everything went without a hitch, except for one small thing. The next night, just as Benny had got the safe open and was admiring old Abe's treasures, the light snapped on and a quiet voice said,
Stick 'em up, Benny, and no funny business.
Perkis!
Detective Perkis to you, Benny. Didn't waste much time after old Abe died, did you, Benny?
Old Abe dead? But I saw him yesterday.
Got a telegram today telling him his brother was dead. Guess the shock was too much for him. He dropped dead. Heart failure. That's why we're watching the place tonight.
Well, that's shock tactics for you. It takes a foolproof idea to prove a fool. Be back again soon with another story that is different. May I have your attention? Thank you. You've been listening to Tick Tock Tales, a John Craig radio short.
And this is vk3sl testing on 160 and on VHF. Sampling transcription discs here from the, well, it's a large stash that have come into my orbit for a short while, probably for another 6 months or so. So we'll gradually get through them all, discover what's worthwhile, and possibly do some dubbings along the way. And no better place to sample them than on these Missiones. So, shortly I'll give Frank a burl. Before doing that, I might play just a sample from one of these new LPs. This is quite an exciting new venture. I mentioned on this afternoon's missions that luckily I came across a large stash of 12-inch LPs from the 1950s, early 50s, and they are all classical recordings, but sort of stuff that wasn't standard fare or standard issue, special issues with overseas imports, and they're the very early vinyls with the covers, flip-open covers. Lots of records from the Vox label and Nixa, and some early Deutsche Grammophones and archive recordings. There's about 50 of them here, so looking forward to discovering them. So I've sort of got one on the table now. It's a Nixa recording, and it's the music of Carl Maria von Weber. Now, Weber, getting the switches right here. Weber is well known for writing great music for the clarinet. He wrote a couple of concertinos, some concertos, and chamber music. And this is an example of a concerto for clarinet and orchestra. We'll just listen to one movement. It's the Salzburg Mozarteum Orchestra and Alois Hein on the clarinet and Paul Walter, conductor. I don't know anything about these artists at all, but it all it's a really nicely packaged record, and it's cheesecloth cover and everything, and they must have belonged to some audiophile, someone who had a special interests. There's mostly chamber music, a lot of cello music, which interests me as well. So we'll slowly get through it. Anyhow, these would be, I reckon, around about 1950. These Nixas, they're pretty early, but they're in amazing condition for what they are. There's a bit of vinyl raw and so on, and they will sound a bit noisy because I do have somewhere. I've got some 1mm Styly. I think I'll dig them up for the sake of transferring these. And again, I think they would be worthwhile putting up on YouTube because I don't think this material is in the public domain. A lot of it isn't anyhow. So we'll have a sample. We'll hear something a bit different. We don't usually play clarinet concertos on this program, and we certainly haven't featured the music of Carl Maria von Weber, who was a contemporary of Mozart's when early Beethoven. All right. Let's have a listen. And while I'm doing this, I'll get the Zoom organised and for Frank. This is vk3sl testing. Listening to the music of Carl Maria von Weber. This concerto in F minor, opus 73 for clarinet and orchestra, and the Salzburg Mozarteum Orchestra with Alois Hein. And the clarinet, that's off an old Nixer LP, one of many which we picked up the other day, and I'm looking forward to exploring on these missions. Okay, I think we're all set up, ready to go. Oh, I have admitted you into the room, Frank. Sorry. There we go. You're admitted now, and then you're switched in, and I think we should hear you. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello, Frank. How are you?
Yes.
There we go. I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm not hearing you.
Oh, you're not hearing me. All right. That's a bit interesting. What's going on? Well, all looks good here. Let's see if my mic's coming through. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. Switched in. How interesting. Maybe I've got a mute on somewhere. Maybe.
I'm listening to you on the radio.
Oh, well, that's weird. I can see. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's have a look in the hello. Oh, maybe. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. I'll just try plugging the system in again and see if it works.
Yeah, sure.
There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's probably the same.
Yes.
Oh no! Wait a minute. Internal microphone. No. It looks like it's done what it should. Oh.
Do you want me to leave and then come back?
Maybe it's worthwhile. I'm just looking here. I can't see my mic moving, so I reckon I might need to restart the computer and do this again. Maybe it's the best thing to do. I'm just looking at the settings here, and that means I can do it without sort of just crapping on. And then I can do my test mark and test speaker, go through all of that. And so maybe we'll listen to another. What I can do is play something else, maybe a bit more of that clarinet music. And then
that's very nice.
And then I'll go through and see if I can just sort out what's going on here.
So are you going to send me another link, or what's...
I
Do you
might
want me
have
to do
to. I
anything?
might have to start again and send another link, and
Yep.
we will do that in the next few minutes. So sorry, folks,
That's
with
fine.
just a bit of a delay, but if we can't manage without our properly integrated system. So let's hear a little bit more of that clarinet concerto by Mr. Weber. We'll hear the first movement, vk3sl. And we can now usher in Frank, and I think it'll work now, Frank. I think we're right to go. So, fingers crossed. And we will just bring up the fader and see if you're there. You're coming up as being there, but not hearing you. Oh, that's a little bit interesting. I sort of think I solved the mic problem before. So that's something, but maybe it's not fully going. That's interesting. Because I can see your microphone doing stuff, but I can't hear you. Oh. Wonder why. Maybe I've got to do something else here. Let's see. Is that working now? Hello, test
I
one.
can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, there we
Hello?
go. That's it. That's something. Now,
You got me?
yeah, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can you just count to 10 for a sec?
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I know what's happened. That's all right. I think we're sorted now, to be honest.
Yeah, you're sounding perfect now.
Yeah, I think we've got it all under control. Sorry about that. Look,
No, that's all right.
it's all to do with this external sound card that I've got here. And I had to unplug it the other day because I was rerouting things around the back of the desk here. And I thought I put them back in reverse, and that was the problem. So, so with apologies about that.
No
I'm sorry
apologies.
that was a bit of wasted time there. But anyhow, I think we're all set. I think we're right to go. And that's quite a lovely piece, isn't it? This.
It's very pretty. Yeah.
It is nice music. And it's interesting how they used to close mic things back then. It's got that really sort of in your face sound.
Oh, well, that's right. You're right. So you're right on top of it. You know.
Yeah.
I prefer. I think you need a little bit of distance, ideally, don't you?
I think so. It's interesting listening to.
It can be a bit confronting otherwise.
Yes, it's very dry acoustic, and I think there was a certain aesthetic. I don't know. Some people seem to like that. But yes, I think a bit of ambience certainly is easier listening. But
I suppose it's very good if you've got a lot of tracks that you're playing with and you want to sort of be able to. You might manipulate them individually and get a very spotty sort of pinpoint effect.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Yes, I know what you're saying. Just to sort of get a concentration in the sound. Yeah, I'd say these would be fairly primitively recorded. I don't think. Well, I'm not sure. I'll need to look into it because I'd like to learn more about Nixer and the label. But there's a lot of them here. There must have been some sort of source that they were. Or the catalogue must have been well known to the collector. So, and all sorts of unusual artists and groups that I've never heard of before. So that's what's going to be exciting, is just discovering new material, new performers. And you don't see them on YouTube or anywhere else. So, yeah, that'll be fun.
I have heard that concerto. It was used by an announcer on the ABC.
Oh, really?
Called, who was retired. I think he might have been compelled. You know, I think his time ran out. I don't think he particularly wanted to. And he came up again on 3MBS. He has a program on Sunday afternoons.
Okay. Not Arthur Burridge.
His name was Fox. No, way after Arthur Burridge.
Oh, yes.
Colin
Fox.
Colin Fox.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay.
Colin Fox.
Yes.
He played that a lot.
Did he really? He must have really liked it.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Excellent. Yeah.
No, I used to love Arthur Burridge.
Yes. He
was a great man. He really knew his music.
Yes.
He had a lovely, cheery but not over, very still natural.
Yes.
Way of talking to people and addressing the audience.
Yes.
And did you know him at all?
Well, look, it's really not in my time. I certainly
didn't. A bit old.
Yes, he was more 60s, 70s, but he does feature very briefly on Dave's Radio Boom series. I think there's a couple of excerpts of Arthur Burridge at the ABC speaking into a ball and biscuit mic. And he
Thank
speaks
you for
about
your note about the Dave's latest vid.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
going to read that tomorrow.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes, it's
yeah.
great fun.
Yeah.
Yes, no, he says we're playing El China by Handel. He says a very,
Yes, that sounds like
very,
it.
very dignified voice, but very,
but jovial, you know,
oh yeah,
friendly.
most definitely, and very ABC.
Yeah, very, very old ABC. Yes,
Wonderful
yes,
stuff. So yes, Mr. Burridge with his little pointed beard, he probably wore. He probably wore a beret as well.
Oh yes, of course.
when my grandfather died, lots of men. This is years ago. I think people know that. And I'm not professing any personal political allegiance here. I don't ever talk about politics on wireless, but I will openly.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
Could not agree more.
For history's sake, I will say that my grandfather was a member of the Australian Communist Party, and when he died, all these little men came out with pointed beards and berets. They came to his funeral. I remember in 1981 he passed away, and all of these little men with pointed beards and berets, all of these little Trotskys all popped out. So that was quite funny. So yeah, anyhow, that's a story. Yay. Anyhow, so. Well, what we'll do is, I reckon we can cut to the source because we've got some wonderful material tonight. There's some really good themes have sort of just emerged. They sort of grew out of our chat this afternoon, really, and particularly Lena Horne. Oh, wow!
Oh yes, I always liked her a lot.
Yeah,
I now absolutely love her. I think she's just amazing.
Sure, she's amazing. She's good, and we've been listening to recordings all evening in the house here, and so she's certainly been including her performance on the Muppets with Kermit the Frog. Yes. But she aged very well because even those recordings of her in her 80s, she still had a really good voice. And
she hadn't lost it, had she? Really?
Not at all.
No.
So yeah, I haven't got the biographical information here, but I mean, I think her story.
It's all in that doco that I sent you.
Yes, that's right.
She tells her own story.
Yes,
and beautifully, you know.
Yes, sure. No, that'd be really good to hear.
It really is worth a look.
Sure. Yeah.
You'll like her even more when you've seen that because it's. She had a very troubled life in some ways. But she was a very, very strong woman.
Yes. Look, she's had a remarkable constitution and a very strong resolve, and stood up for human rights and it was extraordinary. And was blacklisted at one point.
Yes, she was.
So
that would have been in the McCarthyist era, was it?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think so. Yeah.
It's a terrible time.
Oh, look, totally. A shocking time. Absolutely. Now I've just got a note from Mr. W saying a warm hello, and
warm hello to you.
And he enjoyed the. He enjoyed the muzak, what we just played, the clarinet, and he's asked me to tell me that I'm not a red. I'm not going to comment on any politics. No, you've got nothing to worry about, Wayne. I'm not dangerous. Anyhow, what we'll do... No, I'm not a red.
No.
And let's see. Now I'm going to go through the... I'm going to go through the list here. There's some wonderful Lena Horne. And
before you do, can I just say a quick hello to Jamie?
Yes.
We haven't mentioned for a little while.
Okay, of course. A very warm hello to Jamie. I heard from him during the week.
Ever in our thoughts, Jamie? And I'll give you a call through the week. I want to talk a couple of things over with you.
Sure.
Unrelated to the missions.
Yeah. So well, it'll be good to... Good to catch up with Jamie. We'll have to have another face-to-face mission sometime in the next little while. Next month would be good.
Oh yes, whenever it's due.
Yeah, when the fog clears.
We look forward to those very much.
Yeah. So that'll be really good. So yes, hi Jamie, and look, we've got here a Lena Horne's very first recording, which goes back to 1936, and it's with a Noble Sissel and his orchestra. Now, I always liked Noble Sissel. He was a...
Sissel, yes, it's got a big sizzle. It's got a sizz to it, isn't it?
It does have a sizz to it, and his original band, or one of his bands in the 20s, was Noble Sissel and his Sizzling Syncopators. What a fantastic name for a band.
Try that with a pair of newly mounted false teeth.
Yes, that's right. I think Alan Seal might have a bit of strife for that one. yes, the Noble
be
Sissel.
standing right in front of him.
That's right. So that's it. So Lena Horne, she's about 18, I think. Here, she's really young. This is right at the very start of her career. So we'll sample this because it's nice to sort of just to bookend her career. Okay, all cued, ready to go on an old Decca.
Like foot takes to a shoe, I take to you. Like birds take to flying, like babies take to crying, I take to you. Wanted some loving, did I strike it? Now I'm up to daisy. Show me a gal that doesn't like it, and I'll show you a gal that's crazy. I take to you. Like an egg takes to bacon, like cocktails take to shaking, like you take to me, I take to you. And I'll show you a gal that's crazy. I take to you like an egg takes to bacon, like cocktails take to shaking, like you take to me, I take to you.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Lena Horne, a recording from 1936, and she was 18 years of age when that was made. Yay.
Lots of confidence there.
It certainly has, and just such freshness. Wonderful sort of just presence. I think she's extraordinary. And so there we go. That's where it all began. And a warm hello to Mr. Fleming, who's chimed in with with some information about Nixa. And he thinks that the company might have been owned by Pi in the UK. And what else? Oh, yes, a couple of emails here. And he says he remembers seeing ads in the 50s in the R&H magazines mentioning imported long-playing records, and the brand name Nixa was included, as well as Vox and Deutsche Grammophon. And he has a vague recollection that a firm in New South Wales was Fred A. Falk, connected with distributing German dual record changers for radiograms. Wow, that's really interesting. I'm really keen to flesh this out because there's a whole stack of them here, and the material is certainly worth investigating, as is the history of the company itself and the source of these pressings. So yeah, thank you for that, John. Excellent. All right, so back to Lena Horne. Well, that's where it all started. And look, I don't have all the biographical stuff, so I think if people want to know about her life, they can look her up. And another time we'll play the official biography that you mentioned there, Frank, the one that where she talks about her own story.
She had a, just to be very brief, she was a part actress. She put a lot of energy into trying to make it in Hollywood, and she was pretty much forced into that because people saw how good she looked and how talented she was, and they thought she's ready-made for Hollywood. Yeah. And she did have some serious attempts, but she got the normal thing was that she was highly regarded and given a lot of praise, but no, thank you. And the reason was obviously that she was black. She was very much in line for being the star in the filming of Showboat. Yeah. And she was rejected on account of colour, and she had the talent to do justice to the great music.
That's such a travesty, that story. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
who did they
absolutely.
get to?
And it finished up going to Ava Gardner, but she couldn't sing, of course, so they had to get somebody who could sing a bit. But whoever it was didn't sing a quarter as well as Lena, of course.
It's outrageous. It's unbelievable what happened at that time. And I mean, all sorts of complexities there. They didn't like her race. They didn't like her politics. I think there was a whole lot of issues.
No, that's quite right. She was an activist. That's the other thing about it. One of the things that she was proud of it, that she was an upfront activist a lot of the time. Although she kept kind of reprimanding herself for not being more so. Yeah. But she really was pretty upfront. And as time in the 60s, when the activism sort of reached a bit of a crescendo, she was right at the forefront of all of that.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's quite extraordinary to look at the how courageous, just to consider her courage at a time when it would have been very hard to strut your stuff, and
that's right.
And she really, it worked against her to some degree, but she had a very long career, and she was singing, and acting right up until well into her 80s.
So she was.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll hear another recording from the early period. This is the one you just sent me before.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is at the Cotton Club. Well, she started off at the Cotton Club during the Duke Ellington era. And this is just a few years later. So she's aged 20 here, 1938. And this is a film, I don't think it's Ellington, actually, on this film. It references...
It may not be. I assumed it was because of the voice reference in the middle of it.
Yes, it references him, but it's somebody else, and there is a...
The timing's not right for the Duke, is it?
No, it's not. But it's okay. It's a wonderful recording, and at the end, there's a kiss at the end, and it's apparently very first... It's from a sort of short, and it's the very first time that a black and here we go. Sorry, I'm just getting... Yes, it's the first time that a black and a white person embrace that way on the screen. Apparently. Yeah. So apparently it's unique.
I just wish it had been me.
Yes, I share that feeling. Let's have a listen to Lena Horne, age 20, at the Cotton Club. Well, sort of a revisit to the Cotton Club, but she's young and she's fresh and she's just got that same magic we just heard before.
Made a small beginning. Don't know what our fate is gonna be. Chances are we'll get what we're deserving. We will be the top. Just wait and see. I know you remember all I've told you. We'll see our dreams through. You remember. We'll work hard together while we're dreaming. Our plans have a meaning.
She certainly needed Duke.
Yes, and he needed her.
We'll have more than these. Don't care what people say. We stay together. You believe me win or lose, I'm with you. My love is yours too. I know you remember.
Now, I don't know who this singer is, but they embrace on stage at this moment, and we have the kiss. Yes, it's classic. And so, yes, Lena Horne. Now, I don't know who the conductor is. I can't find that information out. It's not there. It'll be referenced somewhere. I can find out later. Anyhow, it's an interesting bit of it. It keeps going actually, and there's a dance sequence, and it's from a film. Sorry, I've got you turned the wrong way. Sorry, Frank. Yeah,
that's good. You're fine.
Yeah. So anyhow, there we have it. Lena Horne, age 20, at the Cotton Club. And
she's matured even in those 2 years, hasn't she?
Yes.
Very considerably.
Absolutely, she has. I think she's had some vocal training in between.
Yes, that's right. But just the timbre of her voice has filled out a lot, hasn't it?
It certainly has in those couple of years. So, yeah, nice to hear. Now, I will, in time, find out what that is all about. I'll see if I can dial it up. The problem is that I have a dual system here, and it's always tricky to sort of see something once it's going, and I've lost my...
Yeah.
Here we go.
Well done.
Let's see. Here we go. Lena Horne, age 20. You remember, sung by Lena Horne when she was about 20 in the film Duke is Tops, is the name of the film, yeah. And it's certainly not Duke. And it's released in 1938. She started as a chorus girl at the Cotton Club when she was 16, and there's cabaret before Lena returns during the finale. And this was the first black and white screen kiss ever at the end. There we go. But it doesn't tell us who she's kissing.
Who she kisses.
That's the problem. Here we go. Yeah, her man opposite was Ralph Cooper. There we go.
Okay.
So
Lucky Ralph.
Lucky Ralph. Yep, he got the smooch. And it was a nice kiss too. Wasn't just a peck. Wasn't just a peck.
No, it was someone that she met.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
It was well meant. So
well done.
So there we go. Lena Horne on special tonight. We're sampling some of her wonderful performances, and this follows on from it was a U3A thing you did today, wasn't it?
We did her today on U3A.
Excellent.
And we had a wonderful doco. If people are particularly interested, there's some wonderful stuff on YouTube about her, and a very good Wikipedia, 14-page Wikipedia article. So she's been well documented.
Yes, definitely. Now I'm looking for a recording she made of "It Is at a Tacit," and that is just wonderful. Now I can't find it now, but I will. I'm going to persevere. Here it is. Oh, no, it's not. It's "A Lady is a Tramp."
This
is just fantastic. And this is from about 1948, so a few years later. And again, it's from one of her motion pictures, but a colour picture, actually. And she is in full flight here a few years later. She just sings this so well.
Wined and dined on mulligan stew and never asked for turkey as I hitched and hiked and grifted too from Maine to Albuquerque. Alas, I missed the Bozark Ball, and what is twice as sad, I was never at a party where they honored Noel Cad. But social circles spin too fast for me. My whole Bohemia is the place to be. I get too hungry for dinner at 8. I like the theater, but never come late. I never bother with people I hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. I don't like crap games with barons and earls. Won't go to Harlem in ermine and pearls. Don't dish the dirt with the rest of the girls. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like the free, fresh wind in my hair, life without care. I'm broke, that's oak. Hate California, it's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. I go to Coney, the beach is divine. I go to ball games, the bleachers are fine. I get the columns and read every line. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like a prize fight when it's not a face. I like the rowing on Central Park Lake. I go to opera and stay wide awake. That's why the lady is a tramp. I like the green grass under my shoes. What can I lose? I'm flat, that's that. I'm all alone when I lower my lamp. That's why the lady is a tramp.
There we have it. The lady is a tramp. Lena Horne from Words and Music from 1948. This is vk3sl testing on 160 and also on VHF. And we have Frank with us, and we're just relishing in this wonderful material. So how are we going, Frank? You there? You with us? Ah, you got your mic switched off. I can see it. It's on the screen here. I've got a little cross through your microphone when it's switched off. So you might need to find the non-mute button when you're ready. Anyhow, we're listening to Lena Horne. Now, she's really famous for her role in Stormy Weather. That's the film that sort of made her. Yeah, you're back again. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
when I
muted.
put the keyboard down, I must have hit the mute thing.
Ah, right. Easy to do.
I'm sorry.
No problems at all.
Let me just move things so that doesn't... I've moved away from that particular dialogue thing now.
That's fine. No worries at all. That's fine. So, yeah, there we have it. That's that was great performance, wasn't it? Dynamic, live, great sense of rhythm.
Another song that was kind of right for her, you know.
Yeah. She owned that song, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fantastic. So, from 1948, so we're sort of moving through the years. Well, around about that time, it was a little earlier actually, it was 43 that she did Stormy Weather. We did play Stormy Weather this afternoon, but we can actually jump a few decades, quite a few decades.
Yes, I know, yes. I was pleased to find this, and you found it about the same time.
About the same time, we discovered this, and we listened to this, and then we realised that yes, great minds think alike, Frank. We're channeling each other, and
that's it.
Yeah. So look, we'll hear her sing Stormy Weather, but much later. In fact, would you believe it? We're jumping a long way forward. She's in her 80s here, and it's just extraordinary how well she's singing for someone in their 80s.
It's very often embarrassing to hear elderly women and men to a lesser extent singing.
Yeah.
Even if they've been great singers, because it's very, very unusual in my experience for voices of that age to stand up,
yes,
and be able to handle serious song.
That's true.
But she's the exception.
She certainly is. No, she's got it all. I mean, there's absolutely no deterioration whatsoever. And to think that she's well in her 80s here, it's staggering. So we'll hear her revisit her very famous vocal well, I suppose it's sort of put her on the map, really, the song. It was such a...
Bit of a signature tune, I think.
It is a signature tune. It was a very successful film. It also featured the Nicholas Brothers and Fats Waller, and Cab Calloway was in the film. It was a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll hear her sing Stormy Weather, but in the 1990s.
Don't know why there's no sun up in the sky. Stormy weather since my man and I ain't together. Keeps raining all the time. My life is bare, gloom and misery everywhere. Stormy weather, I just can't get my whole self together. I'm weary all the time, the time. Yes, I'm weary all the time. Don't you know that since he went away, the blues are walking and met me. If he stays away, old rocking chair will get me. All I do is pray that the Lord above will let me walk in the sun once more. I can't go on. Everything I had is gone. Stormy weather since my man and I ain't together. It keeps raining all the time. Yeah, keeps raining all the time.
Lena Horne from 60 years after her original performance of Stormy Weather. And,
Incredible.
It is incredible. It's amazing. So, yeah. Well, look, that's been good. Look, there's so much more. I mean, there's that wonderful recording from the Muppets. There's all sorts of things. But we can save those and we can have more. We'll just have to keep her on the short list, I think.
Yeah, we will. And anyway, anyone who's got an interest, there's loads on YouTube.
Oh, look, it's all there. Yeah. She was very prolific. She made many recordings over a very long career, and was a force to be reckoned with. A real personality, and a very gifted singer. She must have been.
She was angry for a lot of her life. She realised that in later life that she'd had this sort of suppressed anger, or not very well suppressed sometimes. Anger, and it kind of she found it a bit disabling, really, because it sort of pervaded her, you know.
Yeah. So she talks to that, does she, in the documentary?
Yes, she does. It's a very good doco.
Oh, right. Look, I might pop it on one afternoon missions.
See what you think. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to. It'd be good to. These are all sort of points of departure, of course, and it's just nice to learn. I mean, I really didn't know much about it. I'd seen Stormy Weather. I knew she made records with Noble Sissel, but look, to be honest, I didn't know much about it at all. So it's good to make new discoveries. So thank you for that. And I've got another note from Mr. Fleming, and he's riffing on the vintage vinyl theme and talking about Emery Cook and his records. Now, I've got quite a few Cook records here in the collection, and some of them are binaural with a sort of fork tone arm that's a special custom machine. So you could. It was an early form of stereo. Some of them were binaural and some with stereo, and spatial stereo, and they yes, you'd play 2 tracks on different parts of the record with a equidistant forked tone arm. Now I think I did missions. They were bizarre looking machines and quite complicated and hard to replicate. And if they got out of alignment, you'd be stuffed. But the Cook records, it's a very interesting story, and we did a whole missions on them earlier on. It was when I first started doing these. I had a couple of Cook records, and we were playing. I think we did some stereo tests early on, and there's a number of Cook's records up on YouTube. So, that's a really interesting theme. So thanks for bringing that up there, John. And so that along with the Vox and the Nixes and other things, we can sort of look at the and Westminster records. And we can look at some of the those boutique companies that did a lot to support sort of second tier classical artists who weren't necessarily wouldn't have had a Guernsey otherwise. Continental Records is another one. There's a number of really interesting stories to flesh out there. So thanks for that. And all right, well, we've got another vocalist, but you might have to hold your horses for this one, folks, because this is going to be a bit of a test of our sensibilities. And we're talking about, now I'm going to get the name right straight away and stick to it today, Kathy Berberian.
Well done. You got it.
Yes, this afternoon I kept saying that Gladys lady in New South Wales. But that's all right.
From the same ethnic origin.
Yes, that's right. It's the IAN. It's the Armenianness. And she came from Armenian folks, and but she was really, she was sort of an opera singer, really a trained singer. She had sort of quite a distinguished career in not just in pop music, but in folk music, and also I think she did some small roles. I have to check that out. But
she may well, yes.
But she specialised in contemporary music, and sort of exploring vocalizations in a really sort of weird and wonderful way, just to understand what can be done. Now, her most famous recordings were with the music of Berio and the sequences for voice. So
she was his wife, in fact.
That's right. I think so. So
she was.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because Berio was sort of renowned contemporary style composer who used aleatoric scoring techniques and a very sort of I'd say a non-rhythmic and how would you describe his musical language? It doesn't fit into any tonal scheme.
I wouldn't try, actually.
Yeah. No, it's very hard to categorise composers of this ilk. But he's certainly a part of the new vogue in the 1950s and 60s. And Berio was renowned for his... He's out there.
He was right out there.
He's about as out there as you can get, really. So we'll shock you all now. Have a listen to one, and then we'll sort of backtrack from here, maybe. We'll see how we go. But let's have a listen to Kathy Berberian, and we'll hear Sequenza 3 for voice. The music of Berio. Oh, I found that quite hypnotising. It's so bizarre. It's the music of Luciana Berio, and we heard Kathy Bavarian. And I suppose the one word, I was trying to find a word to describe this. It's the style is indeterminacy.
Yes,
Indeterminacy.
it's certainly indeterminate. You have got no idea where it's going.
No, certainly don't.
In fact, it sort of doesn't go anywhere.
No, it's chance theory, perhaps, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yes. It sounds totally spontaneous.
It does. It just sounds like. So I don't know what the structural aspects of it are. I'll have to look up the score. It's Sequenza 3. Now he wrote sequenzas for a whole range of instruments. He wrote one for the cello, actually.
Oh yes.
In more recent times, but the one we just heard, Sequenza 3, goes back to 1966, and that's the time when he was married to Kathy Bavarian, and he wrote that for her voice, knowing her vocal style. So I think he just wrote probably a series of I don't know, just cues of sorts.
Yes.
and let her come up
Yes.
with the goods. Had a couple of nice little sighs in there, and
Yeah, well, those sorts of lovely
yes,
little bits.
yes,
that
that's
were very,
right.
very, very fetching, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. But somehow I found it in places quite entrancing. Just this weird, bizarre sound world of just sort of, I don't know, having a schema that can allow someone to express themselves in such a.
Yeah, it's just whatever comes out.
Yes,
you know?
it's right. It is. It's an experience.
The ultimate freedom of
Yeah.
well, it's just like random thoughts being expressed in voice, isn't it?
That's right. In some sort of contained way, and I'd love to know what the structural determinants are, but it sounds like there's probably not that many. But
I'm trying to remember the name of that lady's wonderful soprano that you played.
oh, yes, I know Hannigan.
Yes.
Now she's
Some of that reminded me of her.
well, she sings this piece too. In fact, I've got a recording of her singing it. Trying to hear her sing it.
Right.
I won't play the whole thing, I promise.
No.
Because
Look, I'm just going to go and grab a coffee. So I need
yeah. All right. We'll have a listen to Barbara Hannigan. Now she's also singing a little bit of Sequenza 3, and she puts her own individual stamp on it. Now I've got
Spin
to
on
find.
it, yes.
I've got to find the file now because it's hiding. It's here somewhere on the list. Oh, I've been listening to so much music here. Sequenza 3 times 2, Kathy Barbarian and Barbara Hannigan. Hello, it's both of them. Maybe I think someone's perhaps made a pastiche of the two of them. All right,
Oh, no.
this will sound like you were in the zoo. All right.
Double weird.
This will be double weird. This is, I promise I won't play too much because I know I'll lose my listenership.
We're losing our listeners.
Yes, they'll drop off like flies. But what I'll do is I'll play just a little bit of Barbara Hannigan and Kathy Barbarian, and we'll just hear what they make of this work, and maybe it'll give us some illusion of what the structure of it might be.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I'm just firing it up now, going through the massive referral process. Here we go. I think we're ready. And it's queuing and it's thinking. And I think the internet is possibly not doing everything it should. Hello. No, it's slowly getting there. Hello. This is a bit interesting. Well, here we go. Looks like we've got a result.
Sing to me, sing to me, sing to me, sing to me. Sing to me, sing to me, sing to me, too. To me, to me, too. Oh, to me, for God, to me,
And we'll slowly fade into the distance there. That was another version of Sequenza 3 by Luciano Berio. And in that instance, we heard Kathy Bavarian and also Barbara Hannigan. Now, I think they're sort of offset by a few seconds. Now, that's interesting because it does reveal that there are structural determinants. So they're obviously given a fair bit of freedom, but there's also some implicit rhythmic, or at least timestamps on that piece, because they were dealing with similar sort of motives in relation to each other. Well, they were two totally separate performances, but they were, played in tandem. So there we go. Sequenza 3, a work by Berio, and we're sort of looking at the artist Kathy Bavarian, who was Berio's partner in life for a short while, and also a really interesting soprano who mainly explored contemporary music, but she did a lot of other things as well, including she did some Beatles covers, would you believe? And she also sang some very beautiful Armenian folk music. We might sort of wind up with that a bit later on. Some of her Armenian folk music. It's quite exquisite. I mean, she's very gifted, amazing colours in her voice, and but most interesting to hear a different vocal approach to singing, and it's sort of Sprechstimme. It's her own language, her own sort of different vocal effects. Now I'm just looking through the list here. Can I find the recordings of her singing Beatles? They're quite bizarre, really, really bizarre.
I read that there's one song that she sings, if you would call it a song, where she uses Morse code.
Oh, really? Oh, that's relevant. Well, look, I'll tell you what. I'll do a search on that and see if I can find a reference to it. That would be most interesting to hear.
I can't remember where I heard it or read it, like so many things.
Well, that's all right. Well, I'll see what's the what I can deduce. We'll have a listen now to a recording of her doing a Beatles cover, a Ticket to Ride. Is that Beatles?
Ride.
Yes,
yeah,
that's the Beatles.
One. Yes, certainly.
So we'll I think she's with the piano here. This is going to be weird. All right. Well, I don't. It won't be as crazy as what we've just heard, but it'll be a little bit more mainstream. But yeah, let's hear Kathy Barbarian and a different side of her character. And I think we're in a slow cue zone at the moment.
All right.
Yeah. Here we go. It looks like we're on board.
To be sad, I think it's today. The man that's driving me mad is going away. He's got a ticket to ride. He's got a ticket to ride. He's got a ticket to ride, but he don't care. He said that living with me is getting him a dime. Yeah, for him would never be free when I was around. He's got a ticket to ride. He's got a ticket to ride. He's got a ticket to ride, but he don't care. I don't know why he's riding so high. He ought to think twice here to do right by me. Before he gets to saying goodbye, he ought to think twice here to do right by me. To be sad, I think it's today. The man that's driving me mad is going away. He's got a ticket to ride. He's got a ticket to ride. He's got a ticket to ride, but he don't care. He don't care. He don't care.
Well, there we go. How do you rate that one, Frank?
Well, I bet Lennon McCartney never dreamed it would be sung that way. Interesting.
Well, you know, what an imagination. She gives them the Baroque slant. Here's another one.
Certainly does.
Yes, she gives it. Yes, it's been Baroqueized.
Baroqueized and battered and bruised, but it's survived.
It's there's having
better than ever.
Here's the other one. It's here. I want to hold your hand. I've got to hear this. I'm intrigued by this. Yeah. Have a listen now.
Did she do a whole album?
Yeah, she did. Whole Beatles album.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you something. I think you'll understand. Then I'll say that something. I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. Oh, please say to me, you let me be your love. And please say to me, you let me hold your hand. Now let me hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. And when I touch you, I feel happy inside. It's such a feeling that my love I can't hide, I can't hide, I can't hide. Oh, you've got that something. I think you'll understand when I feel that something. I want to hold your hand. 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 I want to hold your hand.
Oh, there we go. Kathy Bavarian, Beatles cover. And that's one of many. So, yeah, she had...
There you are. Very interesting.
She just wore it, didn't she? She just went for it.
She doesn't care. She just lets it go.
Yeah, that was brilliant. She's not the only one who covered the Beatles in a very sort of, I don't know, in a ad hoc. Well, no, it's not ad hoc. In a very different
rock sort of way.
Yeah, rock sort of way. Mae West. Have you ever heard Mae West covers a Beatles song?
No.
Now Mae West was well in her 80s, and
she would have been.
yes, and she. I mean, to think that she was singing in the 20s, and then she went out and she made an album of Beatles songs, and so I can play one of these. I know these very well. I've got an album called Golden Throats.
Fantastic.
And yeah, so while we're on a sort of a bit of a miscellany of Beatlesness, we'll have a listen to Mae's West.
She was a woman to be reckoned with, wasn't she?
She certainly was. And here's a version of Twist and Shout. And she's in her 80s.
Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Come on, baby. Come on and work it on out. Work it on out. Well, work it on out. Work it on out. You know you look so good. Look so good. You know you got me going. Got me going. Just like I knew you would. Well, shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby. Now twist and shout.
the incomparable Mae West and her rendition of Twist and Shout. And she is an old woman there, and she's reliving her youth. Why not?
Yes.
Isn't that just crazy stuff? It's so out there. I mean, she's a sort of because she wrote all her own scripts, Mae West, and she was
a highly intelligent woman.
She was extremely intelligent, and I think that was her downfall in a way, that she was an incredibly lonely person, because I think few people really understood or could relate to her on a level where she could communicate fully. I think that she was always acting because she
created this persona quite deliberately.
Yes, she did.
And then she was kind of stuck with it, wasn't she?
She was, and I think that sort of troubled her, and she wasn't able to break out of that, and she was sort of, very much just became a big recluse for a very, very long time after she stopped making her big films. But when in her 80s, she sort of got a out of jail card, and after they lifted the production codes, and then she went and made 2 films, I think, Mara Breckinridge and Sextet, I think, in the late 60s, and she used all of the lines from her 30s movies that were chopped out, so it was her way of getting her own back, but she was starting to lose it. But look, it's her story is just incredible. And I mean, she went to prison in 1926 for writing a play and producing it in New York, in the big New York production called Sex. That's what it was called. I mean, extraordinary. And it was to do with prostitution. It was to do with sort of pretty racy themes. And and they went in, closed the show down, took her to jail, and she went to jail on a ticker tape parade.
Right.
Through the streets.
That's Mae, all right.
It's extraudtraordinary. I mean, to think that, and this is well before she made motion pictures. She didn't make motion pictures for nearly another 10 years, or 8 years after that. So she had a long career as a stage actress, but extraordinary woman. And here she is in the 80s singing Twist and Shout. So we look at all these fascinating female. I don't think you can really draw any points of connection between the 3 artists we've looked at.
You'd be struggling, I think.
I don't think it's worth even trying.
Except that they are all in their own way very, very unique.
Yeah, and strong personalities. And strong
personality. And and kind of doing their own thing.
Very much so. Independent thinkers, independent vision, and really going into zones where they could be, not necessarily succeed or be complimented or supported.
Yeah, and I think they'd have realised that when they were doing it,
Yeah, really complex artistic choices. And, but I am quite intrigued by Kathy Berberian. I think she's got a really interesting voice and a great colour in her voice when she does modulate her voice. I mean, she does all those sort of vocal sounds and Sprechstimme and stuff. But when she actually modulates her voice, there's a real richness and a harmonic richness to her voice, and that's very, very evident in her when she sings her Armenian folk songs. So maybe we could have a listen to a couple.
Singing that reminded me a little bit of the girl, if I can think of her name, who sang the Bacanos Brasileiros, Sally Terry.
Yes, Sally Terry. That's who I was thinking of this afternoon. Yes, Sally. You mentioned Joan Baez, but yes, Sally Terry had a very distinctive openness to her voice.
Yes. So as I think Kathy.
Yes, I agree. And Judith Durham has that quality as well.
So she does. Yes, it's a lovely quality.
It is. It's an openness. It's sort of like a natural resonance. And I think that's really intriguing and a very special quality. So, look, there are a number of recordings of her singing folk music, and I'll save the Armenian ones for the end. And here's something a little bit more serious, and I hope, I'm not sure, but it says here her singing folk songs, and I don't have any other information because it's all in Italian. Now, she was very close to the linguist Umberto Eco, and
Oh,
she
yes.
and she did translations with him. Apparently,
Oh,
I
right.
read that. As was Berio, he was too. So there was a
Yeah.
interesting collaboration with Mr. Berio, with Mr. Echo. So
Yes.
yeah, all right. Well, let's have a listen to a little bit of folk music, and we're going back to Kathy Bavaria now. We've had our little Mae West interlude there on our Beatles tangent. let's return to some folk material.
L'uomo che morrà de quattro cose devi spiar. La primiera è come l'altro se ne bella costumar. L'altro è come le forma. La quarta è di se queste cose che comprendi ma nel nome di Dio la Ma le rocco non fenno, ma le rocche non cat, ma le rocco non fenno, ma le rocche non fat, che non fat non buono, che non fa, Ucztu budit ajpalam, siuda dieli chisti snova papalam.
There we go, a set of Italian folk songs, and
Excellent.
It was so well sung. That blew my socks off, that recording.
Well, yeah, I love the last one especially.
Oh, fabulous! She's got such a personality. Really, just brings them to life. And it's the music of Berry. I think it's his arrangements, and he was conducting the orchestra. And I've sort of delved a little bit and been able to ascertain, and this has got a cavalcade of positive remarks. People are astonished by this performance, and I concur. I think it's wonderful. Wow.
It was a bit, it's come out of the blue a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, gee. Just
Not that the other stuff wasn't good, but this is...
Yeah, but this is...
special.
It's really special and just so wonderfully characterised and full of life. And I love the richness of her voice all throughout its every range. It's just... It's a real, true voice.
She's got a big range too, hasn't she?
She certainly does. But she just puts so much weight and flavour into those songs, those folk songs, and really interesting orchestration. To start with, I thought, this is going to get really esoteric, but it didn't.
Yeah.
They sort of stayed within limits, and I think it did really great justice to the music. So that was a real discovery for me to hear that.
Yeah, you've done well.
So yes,
I'd never heard her sing, that stuff before.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah, typically, from what I gather, she's associated with sort of her esoteric avant-garde stuff, but yes, she had a distinctive career as a folk singer as well. So so that may be a bit overshadowed, unfortunately, because this deserves to be heard more. That's great singing. Whoa. Okay. Well, that's tremendous. Now she did, with her sort of weird music, she did inspire others. I won't go too far with this, but I've always had some affection for the music of Meredith Monk. She was an American composer, performer, vocalist, filmmaker. She did a whole lot of, she was really active in the 70s. Oh, she's still alive, and she's only... She was born in 1942, so she's not that old. And
she's 78.
79, that's right, yes. She's been composing all her life. But, she did quite a bit of avant-garde stuff, exploring extended vocal techniques using using sort of chant and parallel fourths and parallel motion, sort of gothic music inspired, but really explored the use of overtones. And so I remember I did play all of Meredith Monk's Dolman music in one of my early missions, but there's a couple of sequences which sort of deal with some of the arrhythmic stuff that's probably inspired by what Barbarian's doing, and also some of the sort of harmonic build-ups. But it's with a group. This work, the Dolman music, is written for, I think, about 6 musicians and solo cello. But look, I'll restrict it. I'll keep it to about 5 minutes. 5 minutes of Meredith Monk, and another time I'll probably do a whole program on her, because there's all sorts of really interesting stuff that came from her pen. So we'll sample some now. But she was definitely inspired by what the type of thing that Kathy Barbarian was doing, and she was the first person I thought of when I heard some of the. When you brought Kathy to my attention. So, let's have a listen to some of Meredith Monk's Dolman music. And at this point, I'll take a fade. It's something sort of primeval and gothic about some of those.
That's not as out there as Kathy's stuff. I
sure. No, I don't think it is.
It's got a rhythmic continuity.
It does. It certainly does, and it's built on a harmonic sequence.
A lot of fourths, as you say. It's very oldie worldy in that sense. Isn't
it is. Absolutely, it certainly is. And the stuff that she was doing with the harmonics reminded me a little bit, although not as full on, as the Tibetan throat music. Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Do you remember that?
Yes, indeed I do. Yes. I remember going to workshops on that. And
Yeah.
it's a very interesting technique. That's something we'll have to really explore in another program. I'd like to. I guess it's.
I'd love to be able to do that, but I can't see myself ever doing it.
Oh, it's a. I think it takes a lot of practice. But it's fascinating the sound and when you get the double resonances and things.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Yes, I think there's a lot. There is elements of that in the Dolman music. And
it's not as full on, of course, but it's the sort of beginnings of it almost. Isn't it?
It is. That sort of, out of the harshness comes sort of harmonic fragmentation, sort of.
That's right.
Yeah. Look, I find it strangely hypnotic. It does bring me back to my student days because I discovered that piece. See, when I first met Kate, well, I'd known Kate for a bit, but when we first sort of got together, she was staying at a lecturer's house who was away, and she and a friend were house sitting for one of the lecturers at the con. And this woman had a very unusual house full of. She was an expert. She was an expert in contemporary music, and her house had mobiles everywhere, and it was very 70s. And she had an Ampex A77 and a whole lot of tapes, and one of the tapes was the Dolman music. And I remember sitting there in the lounge room listening to this, and thinking, "Wow, what an interesting oral experience." But it was all sort of nested in that environment of being sort of just getting to know Kate. So I do. I associate.
It would have.
Yes.
Yeah, it would attach to that memory, so that would make it very resonant for you.
Yes, it certainly is. Yeah. So it brings a lot of things back. So
I didn't find that at all challenging. I just really quite enjoyed.
Likewise, and I think there are elements of Steve Reich and minimalism in that type of composition too.
There's a lot of repetition and that sort of thing, but I didn't. I found the harmony carried it a lot for me.
Yes, it does, and it evolves. It's constantly morphing, isn't it? Sort of moving into other ethers, and
it is. It doesn't stick in one spot.
No, it doesn't congeal.
That's very appropriate word. See, that's what Philip Glass's stuff does a lot.
It does.
To me.
I think yes, I agree with you. It sort of gets stuck. It's like getting the needle in
the groove, isn't it?
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
You want to just grab it and say, go on to the next.
Just move on to the next, and just so we have a slight fragment, a change. And yes, I know. Right. 2 hours of the same motive, but I suppose it's that hypnotic quality is what they want.
Look, I know some people love it.
It's trance music.
I offended somebody in our jazz inadvertently by having some harsh words to say. To me, it's like oral water torture to me.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's fair enough. Yeah, I think I completely understand. Some
people like him, and maybe he does have a talent. Although you'll have a bit of interest in knowing. I asked Tony Gould about him.
Oh yes, what he
thought of him.
Yeah,
and he said, "quote, I think he's having a Lendos."
Well, that's great. That's from the mouth of an expert. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, some of the phase music has for me has an interesting hypnotic effect when he does stuff like the phase clapping music and the music for 18 instruments, where it sort of moves.
Not sure I've heard. Yeah. See, that's one of the things I'm condemning him, if that's the word, on really not having heard him too much, because I didn't like what I heard. I must broaden my exposure to him before I go too harsh.
Sure, that's fair enough, though. I mean, look, you're very entitled. I think some of the music does move. It phases, and it goes in and out of phase, and it has sort of
that'd be interesting.
Has like a subtextures that sort of morph in and out. So
that's why I like listening to stuff on shortwave.
Yes,
you've got the phasing.
Yes, that's right. I love it. I love those signature sounds of the.
We all do. You know. Dave loves it. And
I know. All do. That's right. We often speak to that subject, and it's something I think we all relate to, and it's a sound of the ether, isn't it?
It is. It's so much more authentic than hearing it. just as a telephone conversation.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, no, that's good. So anyhow, there we have it. There's a little bit of Meredith Monk, and we'll probably hear some more of her stuff because I do find it strangely or quite enchanting, and and there's a lot of raw energy, it's really passionate performances, and these performance artists and experimental vocalists. So. Yeah, it's been good. Well, I suppose it's getting to that sort of top of the clock time. We're not that far off, and maybe we could wind up with the Armenian folk songs, which with Kathy Bavarian, because I played one this afternoon, and it's about three or four of them. It's about 7 minutes, I think, and it might be a nice way to finish because I think that they're really beautiful. And
I love the one this afternoon.
Oh God, yes, it was wonderful. Yeah, it really was. Beautiful music, and Armenian music's always had an intrigue. I like that sort of rawness, that sort of wide berth, and that rich in overtones and harmonics, and and I think that she sort of has that innate understanding of that music. So we'll find that on the list. So I suppose none of us can do anything. We can't go to concerts. We can't do. I've had more concerts cancelled, and
have you? I thought they were starting to open out again now.
Well, not for 2 weeks, and I had a couple.
Oh no, that's right. Of course.
So I'm involved with the filming of a concert instead and streaming online with young people, and it's going to be a strange, vacuous sort of experience, really. But I suppose
I'm having a couple of lunches, so I can go out for lunch.
You can go out for lunch?
Friends.
Okay, yes, because I think restaurants are open, aren't they?
They're open. I'm going out on Monday.
Oh, good.
And we're having a lunch with the kids in the park on tomorrow.
Okay.
No, Sunday.
Sure.
Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, that's
tomorrow.
nice. Oh, that's really good. Yes, because we can meet people outside and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Well, it'll be lovely for you to see your fam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to catch up. And I suppose David's move's been put on hold while...
Yes, it's been delayed again, but we might be able to... Things are gradually moving ahead. And of course, my studio is being similarly delayed.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, at least it gives you lots of thinking time to imagine how you might implement.
Well, that's right. That's right.
That's it. I'm doing thinking about how I find anything that happens in this booth there's 90% thinking time, and eventually something crystallizes and happens.
Yeah, I know. That's the way it works.
It is the way it works for all of us, I think, in different ways. But it'll be nice to. Well, I hope the weather improves because it's wild and woody at the moment, and we're in the middle of another freezing spell, and we've got high winds, so I'll have to check the tenors.
Yeah.
See, hopefully everything's holding up. But
yes, I think things are okay here.
Yeah.
I have a concern when we get heavy lightning because I don't know that I've taken sufficient precautions to cope with that.
Sure.
I've got a very long coax lead coming from the shed to my radio room into the house, and I can disconnect it easily from the house stuff. But, I'm not sure that I've made sufficient provision in the shack for safety. But anyway, look, that's totally
it's difficult. I've got
no
a
interest.
Knife switch on the antenna switching thing that just switches everything to earth. So when
that's what you want. That's exactly
it's like a nice switch. Whenever I finish up in here, I just switch it across, especially with high winds, because you get a lot of static build up. And I've got to be very careful here because my earth or the ground plane for the counterpoise for the 160 antenna is above earth potential, so it's raised, so you can get induced currents and things, and I've got to be a bit careful. I've got a little spark gap down at the bottom, at the base of the tree as well. So these are things I've got to be mindful of. So
sure.
But I suppose that's all. We all have to work out the best way. But anyhow, well, look, it sounds like you've got a nice week ahead. I'll be around for the next couple. I should be around tomorrow and Sunday for missions. Hopefully, all being well. I'm happy.
Sunday, I could be still down the park.
Yeah, sure.
depending on what happens. Although it's going to get cold, so I suppose we may go to dinner though. That we may make it a dinner rather than a lunch. So.
Fair enough. Oh well, that sounds like a lovely thing to do, and so we'll no doubt catch up at some point along the way, and then during the week I will. Certainly can't do missions anymore until Friday.
No, I know.
Until Friday nights.
We've been having alternate missions, of course.
Yeah, I've been listening in. I've been hearing some nice folk selections, and
I've been wanting to check in to let him know I'm listening, but I don't know whether he listens.
Yeah, I don't know, but no, I've switched in when I've been around cooking the dins. And heard a few things. So
it's good too. It's really good.
We've got extensive playlists now, so that's.
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah, so I'm sure you'll enjoy the vid, the new vid. So
looking forward. Yes, that's one of my on my agenda for tomorrow.
It's certainly it's quite short, but it follows on from a number of themes that sort of were discussion points from last week. So
good.
It'll make sense.
Good. Yes, sure.
All right. Well, have a lovely week, and I'm going to.
You too.
And I'm looking up the list now to find our Armenian selection here. Just a few folk songs.
Who is the most famous Armenian composer? Is it Khachaturian?
I think so. Khachaturian would have to be. In fact, there's some Khachaturian recordings amongst these new discs, I think. I've received another mail. I tell you what, Mr. Fleming's on a mission to discover to work out the origin of these LPs.
He's up and running tonight.
Oh, it's fantastic! I'm thrilled to actually have some background research. And now it says this one. I've just picked another one out of the batch, and it says by arrangement with the Haydn Society in Boston, and on the other side, it says, interestingly, made in Australia by Electronic Industries Imports for Nixa Record Company. Now, it's not, Mr. Fleming said that, or John said that the Pi took over Nixa in 1953. Well, these certainly all predate that. So, so they're pretty early LPs, really, when you. So interesting.
Well, they would be. That's right.
So
when did Microgroove get a foothold? Was it about 1950, 49?
Yes, I think it was 48 officially, but it was another year or so before it sort of became mainstreamed. So
remember, 3AW had a program which was really new in terms of what was happening. It would seem new, called The Magic of Microgroove back in back in 1950. It was compared by John Masters.
Okay.
And he played these discs, and even on the old radios, you could tell that the quality was better.
Wow, how
than
interesting!
78s.
Gosh, there we go. Oh, I'd love to hear some of those programs. I wonder if there's any out there.
I used to love to listen. I was very young.
Yeah,
but I loved it.
Tremendous.
And they had people like I remember there was an incredible woman called Ima Sumac.
Oh, Sumac.
Ima Sumac.
Ima Sumac.
She'll be on the. It's a bit late to be having new people.
I'll look her up for next time. Yeah.
Yeah. But she had an album, and she had an incredibly wide. She had about a 4-octave range.
Oh, really?
Wow. And she was. I think she might have been related to Gypsy.
Interesting. Okay.
Ethnically speaking.
Yes, sure.
But she was something else.
Oh, wow. Sounds really interesting. Is her first name YMA?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, I've just looked her up. I will do some investigations here because this sounds... Yes, she was a Peruvian coloratura soprano, one of the most famous exponents of exotica music during the 50s.
Not erotica.
Yeah, exactly. Exotica. Exotica with an X. Not a triple X.
It's X-rated.
That's right. Sumac became an international success based on an extreme vocal range. As you say, 5 octaves, according to some reports. Other reports document 4.5. Well, and she only died recently. Wow. Born in 1922.
Yeah, there you are. There you
Wow,
are.
that is so interesting. Well, you've sparked something else there. This is what it's all about for me, learning new things. So thank you. That is great. And what was the name of the program on 3AW? The Microgroove.
The Magic of Microgroove.
The Magic of Microgroove. I've got to write that down too. See if there's any episodes somewhere. The magic of Microgroove. I wonder if Jamie's got me.
He explained how they traveled. The turntable went much slower, and the grooves were much closer together and much smaller.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah,
wow! So
all about them being not being breakable. Being made of.
See, I'd love to hear all that sort of associated stuff. It's the incidental comments. I mean, the records could probably be traced, but it's those little sort of describing the medium and engaging with the medium. That's the sort of stuff that really interests me. So, well, I'm going to have a go at playing some of these Nixes with the old Autophon Type A or Type C cartridges and see how they played with those, because they would have been originally, I expect, been played with those low compliance cartridges from years back. So we'll look at that too. Anyhow, well, look, it's all good. We'll cue this recording up, and we'll continue the discussion, no doubt, Frank. So thank you so much for your company and for your wonderful suggestions. You've really set
Thank you, Steve,
a great program in motion tonight. It's been fun.
Okay.
I've loved it. All right then. We'll go and we'll listen now for about 10 minutes to wind up, but we won't come back. And with Kathy Barbarian singing 5 Armenian songs. This is vk3sl and
VK3JR, but not really 3JR on the Zoom.
Yes, the Zoom JR, the avatar.
That's the one. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Yes, you too. All the very best. VK3SL clear. Cheers for now.
Okay, all the best.
Gianna Lucin, Gianco Lucin, Gianco Golor, scegliere sin. Gianna Lucin, Gianco Lucin, Gianco Golor, scegliere sin. Havarnarten czekacam, uelkednin czekacam. Luslin, lusob halacvat, mutam berin mecmenas. Gianna Lucin, Gianco Lucin, Gianco Golor, scegliere sin. Gianna Lucin, Gianco Lucin, Gianco Golor, scegliere sin. Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin, yesim yarasi retsi, Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin, yesim yarasi retsi, Hanzari zari dagin. Hanzari zari dagin, yar Gianco siraviegar, gurbil soleraviegar. Hey, anushig imyaras, hey, anushig imyaras, honjig monjig miani, Hanzari zari dagin, hey, anushig imyaras, hey, horodig imyaras, honjig monjig miani, Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin, yesim yarasi retsi, Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin, yesim yarasi retsi, Hanzari zari dagin, Hanzari zari dagin. Cangeruni mandaganze, yes harustiem John, yes harust. Zal parut junshinar user, joch barkeviem arel verust. Ankin ankaim kansari, sardige sechen uakatjun, inch kanel vor pash kansari, ser Giuchunem, ach, Junem, yes, Koitz, Chara, Portsankitz, Ashar, Komin, es bes, Chachien, Doris, Importsunkitz, yes, Rustiam, yes, Pach, Davore, Imsen und Yang, Beizaroren, El Ashar, Chem,